In this tutorial, you will learn how to run queries with the SESB Syntax Search for your exegetical work, and how to modify queries to verify your exegetical assumptions. The previous tutorial demonstrated that in Exodus 33:12, Moses speaks to God directly, whereas usually God is the one who addresses Moses in a dialogue. Based on this finding, this tutorial will determine whether this is an exception in a bigger context as well. This research is done by a query which searches for further passages with Moses as the subject speaking to God in the grammatical function of a complement. The query is conducted in the syntax search dialog, which can be opened via the search/syntax search command. On the left-hand side of the dialog, add a clause element as the basic element for your query. Within this clause, phrases, meaning word groups with certain functions, shall be searched. The order of the phrases does not matter. Therefore, add the operator unordered group to the clause. This operator determines that all subordinate elements can appear in random order and with other elements in between. Within the unordered group, add 3 phrases. One of the phrases contains the subject function. The next contains the verb function, and the third phrase contains the complement function. Now the content of each phrase needs to be defined through single words such as God, Moses, and speak. For this purpose, a word element is added within each phrase element. To be able to identify the matches faster, select the option Highlight this term in search results on the right-hand side under Search Parameters. For the subject phrase, choose under Lemma the word Moshe by changing the keyboard to Hebrew with the shortcut F2 and then typing the consonants Mem, Shin, Hey. Automatically, a list appears with entries from the dictionary which contain this group of consonants. Here, click on the word with the translation Moses. The predicate phrase also needs to be defined more specifically so that only verbs that indicate direct speech are searched. It is easiest to find this vocabulary through the option Verbs of Quotation in the column Lexical Set. Thus, all verbs in this category are instantly included in the search. All terms for God shall be searched through the complement phrase. For this, the different terms need to be assigned. First, enter the tetragrammaton into the lemma text box and choose the corresponding dictionary entry. Then do the same with the terms El and Elohim. When entering Elohim, remember to observe the final Mem, which can be inserted by pressing Shift+M. The query is now finished. Choose the entire database as your search range and hit the Search button. The search results show 8 hits in which Moses speaks to God directly. In comparison with all 174 passages in which God takes the subject position and Moses the position of the receiver, this is an extreme exception. Usually, Moses is just answering or joining the conversation. Therefore, it is evident that Exodus 33:12, in which Moses is proactive, is a rare and thus special speech situation. So far, the search was limited to a conversation between God and Moses. The following slightly modified query determines if it is an exception in principle that a human being begins a dialogue with God. Open the syntax search dialog again. The previous query appears and can now be modified. The modification is achieved by choosing the word entry Moses in the lemma section for the subject phrase and deleting it by clicking on the little cross beside it. Then define the subject element anew through the option Person's Name under Lexical Set. Now the search results show all passages in which a person addresses God directly. Besides Moses, who appears 8 times, David appears 4 times, Gideon 2 times, as well as Cain, Abraham, Bileam, Joshua, Saul, and Solomon, who each appear 1 time. In 21 cases, a person opens a conversation with God in the Old Testament. The search results make clear by the number of hits for Moses and David that these 2 people have a special position. In all, it can be said that Exodus 33:12 is indeed an exceptional speech situation. That Moses initiates a conversation with God is not only unique for himself, but also rare for the entire Old Testament. These observations, documented through different queries, can now be used for your exegesis.